Good afternoon and welcome to Jeff and the Rabbi. This topic, I think, Rabbi Friedman, your topic for today, I think, maybe embodies like the last couple months of different topics that we've talked about. Freedom or liberty versus the law. And if we think about all the stuff that we've talked about, this is the real question. So I was thinking of an analogy. Let's say you're going from Atlanta to New York and you're driving. You're on the highway, you're going, let's say it's a 65-mile-an-hour speed limit. You're going 85 miles an hour, like everybody else. The traffic's 80, 85 miles an hour. All of a sudden, you look in your rear view mirror, and on the entrance ramp, on comes the cop. He comes up. What happened? What's immediately what everybody in the whole highway is going to do? Step on the brakes, look at your speed limit, down to 65 miles an hour. Ruins everything. There you are. You're trying to make time, going to New York, and this guy's following you. He's now, for miles, the guy's still behind you. And now you're driving 65 miles an hour. Everybody's looking like this. Nobody's passing anybody. Ruins the entire trip for everybody on the road. Then, all of a sudden, exit ramp. He gets off in the exit ramp. Everybody right back up to 85 miles an hour. It's great. It's awesome. Now, the time he was there, he ruined the trip. He took your freedom away. He ruined everything.
Right.
And I think this almost is the problem with Jews. The problem not Jews, Christians. This is the problem with Judaism, with real Judaism, and even real Christianity, is there's no exit ramp for the cop on those things. That's the biggest problem. He's always there. He's always behind you. It's not right. So, Jews, Christians, whatever, this kind of ruins the whole thing. Your whole life, you got to live with this cop right behind you. If you go 85 miles an hour, he's going to pull you over. And that's no fun. That's no way to live. You can't do that.
That's right.
Now, just to add to that analogy, though, you're back on that highway going 85 miles an hour, and all of a sudden you look behind you. Two kids in Mustangs. They must be teenagers. Their passengers hanging out the window. 100 miles an hour driving crazy behind you. Where are those darn cops? That's what everybody says. Where are those cops when you need them?
That's right.
So that's kind of how we live our life here.
Right. And, so where is it? Where is it supposed to start? If they're not on the road, then the kids are driving all over the place, maybe drunk, high, whatever it is, and they could kill people.
Right.
On the other hand, we all know that they're cruising around looking to give out tickets, and I was driving perfectly safely, and, yet I was going downhill, and he waited till I picked up some steam, and he slams a ticket on me.
Not fair.
Right. Not fair. So where do you get it? And I could heighten this even more. The society, government, intrudes on our personal liberty.
Absolutely.
And oftentimes, in a very curious manner, we can't even figure out what it's all about. For example, the government has decided, at least in the city of New York, that you cannot be trusted to decide what size soft drink that you want to purchase.
Makes sense.
Because, you'll get obese and you can't be trusted to keep yourself thin and in good shape. You're going to get obese, and maybe you can, but, there's a bunch of other people that can't, and no one wants to describe them, but, they're maybe lower class people that just don't have enough brains to keep themselves from getting obese, and they're going to buy the big drink. So therefore the government has to regulate them, and the government has to say, this is the size drink you can buy, because you can't make that decision. On the other hand, if you're a 15-year-old girl and you want to make a decision as to whether or not you may be pregnant and to terminate that pregnancy and how to conduct your intimate life and so on and so forth, the Supreme Court says that you have a right to make that decision. Now, she can't decide what size soft drink to buy, but she can decide what to do about her reproductive, which is, because that's her body. Of course, her obesity.
That's her body, has her reproductive rights. You have no business in that.
But not her obesity, which is, I guess, that's not her body?
Well, what if she gets fat during pregnancy?
That's right.
So now I understand why they take the abortion pill there.
It's obesity. We're so concerned about her obesity, but we're not concerned. But she has a right to decide what she wants to have done with her body.
Right.
And she's 15. I mean, come on. She shouldn't have to discuss that with anyone else. Of course, even if she was 85, she couldn't be trusted to decide which size soft drink to buy.
No.
So that's a problem, because society seems to be stepping in. Government steps in and takes away our personal liberties.
I'm just asking one thing. So if you're 15, you can get an abortion, but you can't drive yourself to the abortion clinic. That's a problem.
That's right.
That's an issue right there.
So obviously, what our government is doing is trying to regulate our lives based on its values. Its values.
Right.
It says these people need to be able to do this, but these people may not be allowed to do
So
that.
what you're saying is, thank God there are people smarter than us that are able to make these decisions for us.
So, right. And that's what happens, when it comes to limiting liberty. The reason that law limits my liberty is because my liberty is to decide about make those decisions personally. Right. And the state steps in and says, no, we'll make those decisions for you. That's why law conflicts with my liberty. And sometimes I agree with the law. Sometimes I like the law. If the law says that someone that screams fire in the crowded theater is arrested, I like that law because that messes me up. And maybe even I like the fact that they put the police on the road and give out tickets for drunk driving. I like that. Sometimes I don't like it, but sometimes maybe I'll put up with the trade-off. Right. There's a lot of laws. Or take cigarette smoking. The state didn't just come out and say, cigarette smoking is not good for you. There's the information. Do with it as you want. They said, no. We're going to start a whole campaign, and we're going to limit where you can smoke and when you can smoke. It's not because of secondhand smoke. The whole campaign was to try to get people to stop smoking.
Right.
And they got away with it because ultimately everyone felt that it was for their own good. But what happens when you don't feel it's your own good? What happens if you're a parent and you've got a 15-year-old daughter and you don't think that it's good that she should be able to make these decisions on her own?
Well, that's a problem.
Matter of fact, you would like to find out if she's getting pregnant because maybe, her uncle is repeatedly raping her, and maybe you want to get involved with that situation and do something.
I don't know if that's your right.
Yeah, right. So that's where it's a constriction of liberty. And some people will even say, I have a right to be obese if I want to be obese.
Right.
I have a right to do that. So law is always restricting my liberty. Now, really, the state or the government is really right because they're saying we're doing it for your own best interests. The problem is that most people would like to be able to make their own decisions, not have someone else whom I don't necessarily agree with their values make those decisions. I mean, when they elected Mayor Bloomberg as the mayor,
right.
I don't think anyone said, and Mayor, because we have voted for you, we want you to decide how much soft drinks we should have.
Yeah, probably wasn't on the
I don't
campaign.
think anyone was thinking about that. And therefore, society, it clashes with our personal liberties. Now, let's go over to the Torah. You knew I was going to get to that, didn't you?
I was waiting for this.
You knew it was coming.
A guy knows one thing. You know we're getting there.
One-trick pony. Yeah. So you know that Torah thing was going to come up, and here it comes. There's a verse in the Torah that says that Moses came down with the tablets, and on the tablets, the commandments were charus is the Hebrew word, engraved or carved into the tablets. And our sages say, don't read that word as charus, which is the Hebrew letters ches, resh, vav, taf.
Right.
Read it as, just change the vowels, cherus, freedom. Now, in Hebrew, you'd write those two words. They're identical, but they could be pronounced in two different ways. Because if you leave out the vowel sounds in the Hebrew, you can read words in different ways.
Oh, wait, what does it mean beside freedom? What's the other mean?
Engraved.
Oh, engraved, okay.
Or freedom. So one says the commandments were engraved on the tablets, and the other says freedom is on the tablets. And the rabbis say Moshe came back down from Mount Sinai with freedom on the tablets. Now, what did he come back down with?
Well, the laws.
The laws.
And now you're really confusing me here.
Like laws, so many laws. When you can do this and when you can't do that. And believe me, those people thought like they could do it when they wanted, where they wanted, how they wanted. And Moshe said, no. You're going to do it this way with this person, when, where, what, It
doesn't sound like freedom to me.
Didn't sound like freedom.
No.
And yet the rabbi said it was freedom. Those laws engraved on the tablets were freedom. So, what do we do with that? So really, it depends on the source. It really depends on whether it's Mayor Bloomberg or not. So when Mayor Bloomberg says, this is how much soft drink you can have, I say to him, Mayor, His Honor, keep it to yourself.
Right.
You let me decide. I'll decide if I want to have one or two or a big one. The big gulp, the half gulp, the little gulp,
Right.
I don't care. The not a gulp,
Right.
the sip, I don't care. Keep it to yourself. Now, if it's God talking, what the sages are telling you is that God knows.
Okay, so that's a little different.
Right. God knows. And God can step in and God can say, you really want this. Because otherwise, you would be pursuing your interests, your lusts, and there are many things that you wouldn't even realize are not good for you.
Like eating a cow versus a pig.
That's right. You didn't know that this pig thing is not good. You didn't know that incest is not healthy. It's one of the things Torah says, 10 Commandments. When it says adultery, well, a part of that's like incest and all that. People were incestuous. That was the way of the Jewish people and the way of the world.
You been to Mississippi lately?
Yeah, right.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't say Alabama.
Right, didn't say Alabama.
Right.
Yeah, it's bad.
Right.
Okay, there's an Alabama boy there.
Yeah, right.
Right. I often wondered in Alabama who they make that joke about.
Mississippi.
That's
yeah,
what God made Mississippi, so that
Exactly.
Alabama people can joke
Right,
about it.
right, absolutely.
Right. Okay. It's sad when your only resort is to make fun of people from Mississippi.
That's all we
gotten
got.
That low.
That's all we got.
Oh, it's sad.
It's sad.
So if God steps in and God says, you know what? I know you don't understand this, and I know that you might not get this, but I'm going to put in these rules and regulations, and in these ones, not those ones, but these ones, if you do these regulations, you will actually find personal freedom. You will find your freedom because it will free you from the challenges of the lusts that you might have, which are so distracting, and which, as a matter of fact, our society says you are obligated to indulge. And this gives you freedom by saying, no, I don't do that. I don't conduct myself like this. I don't go out into the world without this or that on, reminding me all the time. I walk out wearing a little skull cap. That reminds me. Everywhere I go, I walk in the door, everyone knows I'm Jewish.
Right.
Everyone knows this guy's different. They talk to me different. They treat me different. I'm different.
Right.
Because I came in with this little advertisement. I'm different. And because of that, I'm spared a lot of situations. Now, maybe I might be denied some situations, but I say, you know what? If this denies me that, I'll take it. Because God figured it out, not Mayor Bloomberg.
Well, now you're wondering why there's so few Jews in the world here, why religion is so small. You can't eat this, you can't do this, you got to dress like this. Everybody else has got a lot easier there.
If you're not convinced that it's for your best,
right,
it's intolerable.
So
Totally
maybe,
intolerable.
just a theory here, so maybe that's why more secular Jews have to say, Torah's a great thing, but it wasn't written by God.
Can't be.
Because if it's written by God, we got a problem here.
If it's written by God, then, it's incontrovertible. How can you argue with that? So there's liberty versus the law. But the liberty would be self-indulgence, and the law would save you from the self-indulgence. And in truth, it is the very argument. Liberal Jews buy the argument absolutely and totally. We're in total agreement. The only difference is who makes the call.
Good point.
But liberal Jews 100% believe that people are given freedom. They don't believe it's a restriction of liberties. They believe it's good for you. It's good for you not to have the big drink. It's good for you to be limited in this way or shape or form.
Right.
But it's not good for you to be limited in such another way. So therefore, I give you liberty. Now, where do all those liberties mostly devolve? If you look at them, all those liberties come out of the things that most people want to do, and they're limited in other ways. So they say, well, you're going to give up your liberties as long as the society is still allowing you to do, for example, you want to be homosexual, that you are allowed. You want to have an abortion or take a morning after pill, that you're allowed because we don't want to limit or restrict the way that you want to have your intimacy.
But if you want to have a gun with more than 4 bullets, that we're not going to allow.
Right, that we're not going to allow. And if you want to become obese, we're not going to allow you. And we don't believe that you have enough brains to be able to figure out how not to become obese.
So bottom line, there are some men, women, whatever, that are able better than you to make these decisions. Not God, but there are men, government, that are able to make these decisions for you.
And anyone that agrees that there is some higher authority that can make those decisions for you, as long as you agree to that, well then you should have no problem with any religious Jew believing that, yeah, I'm agree with you. It's just it's God. I happen to use God as my authority, not the government. Now, why do we like the government? We like the government because the government never makes any decisions that we don't ultimately, that the most liberal segments of society agree with. So we've got Supreme Court is coming up with homosexual marriage, right? The answer has to be yes. It has to be. Because they never make a decision that's not in agreement with common consent of the people. When blacks were considered to be second-class citizens, you had Dred Scott. Then people started changing their attitudes. You had separate but equal. Then people changed their attitudes even more. So everyone's equal now. Voting Rights Act and all that stuff. Right? So they always are consistent with whatever is the view, the liberal view of the times. And that is what's going to happen now, and it'll be with the next decision, next whatever.
The problem with that, and I guess you're describing progressivism, but the problem with that is that most or all of the new things, of the progressive things, go against the moral claim that God says this is right and that's wrong. Now, if man says we all agree that this is what we want to do and that we should be able to do it, most liberal people think that's okay. But if there is a religious moral authority that says this is right and this is wrong, you can do this act, you can't do that act, then the problem that we have is that that's where progressives are going to go. It's not going to work the other way. So it does just the opposite of what God says. I mean, most liberalism does do that.
Yeah, well, as long as they're in control. But the concept of a higher authority
they're into that.
Determining what to curtail your liberties for your own good, we're in total agreement.
See, that's interesting. That's a good point.
Right?
Good point.
You got no problem with that. This is for your own good. We can't let you drink this drink. Now, it's very interesting, like certain things, they'll be very pragmatic about. Like, for example, alcohol. So you can't smoke marijuana, but you can drink alcohol. And we got to deal with all the problems of alcohol in society. So if alcohol was just invented now, and they tried to get it legalized, no way, people would never legalize it. Look at all the problems. Every time you drink, it kills some brain cells, and then you can get drunk, and then you abuse and harm people, and it's horrible on society and all that. Why has alcohol not been banned? Well, they tried it one time.
Worked too well.
And they saw it's not going to go. Because once people are into it, and that is basically where our Supreme Court and our laws will always size up the situation. They'll see what can we legislate that people can live with, what can they not live with. We'll give them whatever they absolutely have to have. We will deny them whatever we can deny them that we think we can get away with. But, we're not going to deny. We already learned from trying alcohol. We're not going to try that again.
Right.
So we're going to let them have what they want. But really, it's the same system. And we don't mind giving up our liberties. Some people don't mind giving up their liberties to a society, to a government, as long as the government gives them the things they want.
Well, and I think that's the real thing. As long as the government gives them the things they want. But if you notice with government, anything to do with, they will not regulate morality. In other words, the bottom line is, I think the real thing is, you can do anything you want that makes you happy. I think you're right. We're going to give you that right. The government will give you the right to do anything you want to do that makes you happy. There should be no morals. We can't say because of my religion I disagree with homosexuality. Because of my religion I disagree with promiscuity. That you can't do. But on the other, I think it really is. It's a moral situation. Anything to do with morals, the government's not going to say no on.
The government will step in and say you can't smoke cigarettes. We will highly tax them. We will limit where you can smoke them. We'll try to wipe them out. We'll warn you and all that type of stuff that's not very, very bad. However, the government won't step in and say, for example, that promiscuity spreads disease. It's harmful to people's psyche, especially to young children.
Right.
It creates unwanted pregnancies, and on and on. There's a whole long list. I mean, the list of things that are negative that come out of promiscuity are way bigger than cigarettes. And yet the government went way after cigarettes and doesn't deal with promiscuity. Why? Because everyone wants to be promiscuous, and they thought they can get away with. People don't just get such a kick out of cigarettes. That's all.
It's interesting. It's interesting.
So you can get away with that one. So, but in essence, if you governed cigarettes, then by the same token, you should govern other forms of physical promiscuity, and yet we don't. So really, the bottom line is, it's just what you can get away with, and people like that. Now, if you're Jewish, so you say, listen, I would never trust a government to decide what I can do and what I can't do. But God, well, I can. If I can't trust God, who can you trust, folks? You know. So therefore, I'm going to trust God, and I will presume that I get my freedom from being regulated. And I will think about the government and say, I'm not sure I get my freedom from being regulated, because maybe he is regulating me in the way he wants to for his own purposes.
True. So, but why then are Jews? We're restricted by so many laws. Obviously, in the Torah. Why are Jews restricted so much? And you know, it seems like society files that, but why does God restrict Jews so from doing? I mean, we have free choice, we have free will. Why are we restricted by so many laws?
You know, the free will is to decide. There's really only one decision in Judaism. Your free will is, do I do the law or do I not do the law?
So I guess it's really not that much free will there, is there?
You always have, but there is and isn't free will in every single thing you do.
Right.
Is this according to the law or is it not according to the law? That is my free will decision. But God says that this world is full of choices. And the way that we grow is by deciding to indulge in this and to deny myself that. Like being healthy. You know, I walk into the grocery store, I have to make a zillion and one choices. Do I buy this product or that product? This one tastes good, this one's healthy, right? This one's going to make me sick, this one's going to make me feel better. This one's going to make me stronger, this one will keep me up at night, this one won't keep me up at night.
Right.
This one, no. Every single product you buy, you pick the two of them. This one's got too much sugar, this one's got too much salt, you know.
Right.
So life is all about making decisions. And therefore, God says, these are the decisions I want you to make, because not only in a physical sense, but in a spiritual sense, life is also about making those same decisions. And God lays them out before us. He says we don't necessarily understand it, but they're the same decisions. So I'm going to marry this person. Can I marry this person or that person? It really is the same decision. Should I buy this brand of green beans or that one? This one has the salt added, that one doesn't. I need a low sodium diet. I'm going with that one. It's healthier for me. This woman has these characteristics. This woman doesn't. I need this one. I'm going with that. It's all decisions.
All decisions. How come it seems that Jews, more than anyone, seem to make the other decision? He seemed to make the decision that has nothing to do with the rules. No matter what that rule is, most Jews, not all Jews, seem to be, well, we're the guys that are tested in the waters the most. You can marry this one or this one. You can't marry that one. I'm going to marry that one. It just seems to be the way it works.
Because we have the decisions offer us the freedom for greatness. The more challenges you have, the more decisions that you have to make, the more you have a chance to aspire to greatness. Believe me, anyone who's become president of the United States has made more decisions than you and I have.
Right.
Has to make more decisions, more crucial decisions, and be more dedicated to his decisions without wavering than you and I have. Greatness requires more rigor. So if you're destined for greatness, you make more decisions. If you're going to be an Olympian, you make even more decisions every time you walk in the grocery store than I do. And I try to buy healthy food. An Olympian will buy even healthier food.
Right.
Or figure out I need more potassium right now. I need more of this, things that I'm never even thinking about.
Right.
The greater you're striving, the greater are the number of decisions that you have to make. And the fact that Jews have lots of decisions means that they are held out to them the potential, they have the freedom to exercise to become great. And that's where the chosenness is, that they'll be given that option to strive for certain greatness.
But I've just noticed that sometimes the decisions that Jews on the whole make, I mean, if you're always looking for the head of the atheist society, his last name is going to be Silverberg, or something. If you're looking for the guy that's going to talk about, women's right to choose more, and I'm not saying bad, good, but, anything against, the ones that seem to fight against the Torah rules and regulations the most, not that they're specifically doing that, always have a Berger Esteen at the end of the name there.
They got it. They have to get that thing out of the way. It's the same thing of a guy is raised by his parents to be very polite and proper. Puts his napkin down on his lap and covers his mouth before he would yawn or burp or anything like that. Oh, he says, excuse me. Then he goes and he lives in some society where they don't do any of that stuff. Everyone just burps and does belches whenever they want, So, every time for the rest of his life, because it was drilled into him by his parents, he's always got to come up with some excuse. Sometimes he'll become the biggest belcher of all of them. Because he's got to shake that off, because it's always in there. It's built inside of him. And it's built inside a Jew to be very sensitive to that. So Jews have to overcompensate and deny why they aren't being the other way.
We're good at that.
It's tough. It's tough, and Jews carry that around, but okay, so be it. Now, some people will say, thank God for the freedom to make the choices to aspire for a certain greatness. And I think there is a certain pride in that, of knowing that you're held to a higher calling. Right. It's a good thing.
No, it is a good thing. So your assertion here is that freedom isn't the guy that can do anything he wants, the guy who can drive 120 miles an hour down the road.
Right.
Freedom is the guy that has the rules, follows the rules, and blindly follows these rules, understands these rules.
Freedom is not just another word for nothing left to lose.
Oh, Janice, very good there.
Right. See, that's not what freedom is, right?
That must have been your day. I was born after that.
Right. So freedom, if that's freedom, then what that means is that person really doesn't have nothing left to lose. So that means that you don't really have any freedom because you have some limited choices. Freedom, it means having more and more choices. It's a much more complex. It means you've got a lot to lose, right? And a lot to lose. Why do we have to lose? They have to lose the chance, the opportunity for greatness. People that don't have any opportunities, they don't really have any freedom. So the guy's sitting there, hey, I'm standing on a corner, I'm homeless. Well, I'm free as could be. You're not free. You're totally imprisoned because you have no options. You have no opportunities for greatness. That's sad.
So the Torah gives us freedom. The Torah grants us the ultimate freedom.
Freedom was written on the tablets. That's the way the sages said to reread the word. So it's like a double. There's two ways to read the word. And it was engraved, yes, but it was also freedom on those tablets. So that's what we got. So, we give up our liberties. We give up our liberties to God. But God says, no, you gain liberty. You think you had liberty to do all these things? God says, no. These are restrictive. They actually help you. And my contention is that a liberal really agrees with that, because a liberal doesn't say we are imprisoning people by denying them soft drinks. We are freeing them by denying them. But if you agree with that, then now, how about other freedoms? Well, that's all debatable.
So the ultimate thing is you're giving up your freedom, but to who? To whom? I guess is the right answer.
That's right.
It's either the government or maybe a power even higher than that.
Actually, what we say is God is giving you freedom by eliminating from you or indicating for you where not to make bad choices.
So I trust God better to tell me not to eat the pork chop versus Bloomberg telling me not to drink the big gulp.
Yeah, so and the truth is, so did the founders of the United States, because they said, in God we trust. So ultimately, and they believed in life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, but they also trusted in God. So they obviously had a certain vision, not just unbridled vision. They had a certain vision of pursuit of happiness, and yet they still had a lot of laws, very restrictive.
Right. All right. Well, that makes sense. I think that does. It clears it up because it really answers the question. We're Jews. Religious Jews are about the most free people out there you can get. You can't get any freer than that.
That's right.
That's right. All right. Good. Very exciting. Good episode. I think it should be a lot of good comments and discussion about that. You can read us on Facebook. You can see our page there, and you can go to YouTube as well. And we'll see you next week for another great episode of Jeff and the Rabbi.